Welcome to Court Captains, a volleyball podcast,
where we talk all things Pro Volleyball Federation.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Nikki.
I'm Ian.
And today we're talking...
You get a win. You get a win. You get a win. AKA 5 teams played twice and everyone won once. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Court Captains Pod. We're interacting in the YouTube chat as much as we can. Sometimes there are 5 matches a week. It's kind of tough to stay active in the chat when there are 5 matches a week, but we're in there as much as we can. Email us if you've got questions, courtcaptainspod@gmail.com. And we're just going to jump right into match analysis. We've got a lot to talk about.
So just to set the scene here, so Nikki and I are actually friends outside of this podcast, and we took a lovely trip over to Colorado, had a little ski and snowboarding adventure.
That's great.
And we tried to watch games together, and
I guess I didn't get the invite, guys. I mean, what?
I'm so sorry.
You were busy. You were also traveling.
Yeah, no,
around.
I was hanging out with all my friends and stuff. Yeah.
Where was our invite?
Yeah. How about that?
We watched a total of 1 match together. We had the opportunity
We tried to watch a couple. We put them on the smart TV in Colorado. Yeah. We tried to watch. The internet was difficult to manage. And we were doing snow sports, we were doing other types of sports. We've broadened our horizons in the athlete department. But we did get to we watched them after the fact. This week we saw Thrill for the first time and twice. Vegas Thrill opener was at Omaha, and Vegas won their opener 3-2.
5 setter.
Yeah, so for those like we said, 5 setter. Vegas won after losing the first set. So they lost the first set 25-19, came back and won the second 25-23, won the third 25-20, and they took the 4th set off a little bit. They lost that one 25-18 before coming back with 15-12 5th set to win it. Yeah, it was a big deal. And also, I mean, I guess we can start talking about a little bit of the weirdness around Omaha's organization. This was the first game they had under their new interim head coach, Laura Kuhn, who used to coach for Texas A&M. She's been an assistant coach on their team. But Shelton Collier, who had been coaching them for the first 2 games, according to some, relieved of his duties. According to some, lost some of those duties in what the organization referred to as a coaching expansion.
Did that involve expanding him out of his job? Or
yeah, expanding him maybe to like a higher up job.
Did that involve loss of salary? Oh, okay.
I don't know.
So
he's still with the org.
Okay.
So,
okay.
According to the Supernovas, he was obviously very integral to them, not only putting together their roster of players, but also all of the behind the scenes stuff. So I don't know if this was a planned move after 2 games. That seems a little weird to plan. Hey, you coach these first 2 games and then we'll move you up, but maybe they just didn't quite love what they were seeing on the court consistency wise. But they said he's just planning for upcoming free agency and draft stuff just through scouting. So he's still a big part of their organization. He's just not on the bench. Didn't help in this game though. They still lost to Vegas. So
I've heard quite a bit in terms of announcers shooting the shit and talking about things during these matches. I've heard announcers talk a lot about the culture of the team and little stories about how certain coaches heard of certain players being available to play. And I think for the first year of a season, that makes some sense. It's kind of who you know and who you hear about.
It's interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
Right.
But I wonder, because they've talked about culture and because there's so much talent just kind of broadly in the US for women's volleyball, I wonder if this assistant coach just vibes better with the players. Totally. I don't, or if this head coach really just, prior head coach really just wanted to take a different role within the org. I don't know.
It does seem to me
move.
like a lot of these coaches, right, as we've talked about in some of the other episodes, came out of college. And I don't know, just coming from other sports, there's some college coaches that move to pro and it really works very well. And there are some that it's just, maybe pro athletes think that you're talking to them like a college kid a little more than they would like.
And these are adults.
That's something I am very interested in. Yeah, how a coach can go from college to speaking to professionals and how that dynamic changes. Like, I can't imagine it myself because I've only ever been coached through college.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, going from kids on scholarship to full grown adults making salary is definitely a little switch. I don't know. I'll be interested to see, if there are any articles that come out or what the organization still says. Because I don't think Shelton Collier is not like he's not like an old man or anything, but maybe they wanted a little bit younger of a voice on the bench.
Lots of turmoil so early in the season.
I know it's drama.
Changing it up. Any observations about Vegas Thrill? The first time we're seeing them. Anybody
Molly McCage is the one that stood out.
Yep.
Yeah, in this match, she hit 380, had 14 kills, and 8 blocks.
Yeah.
More than half of the team's blocks.
It's nasty.
She was very impressive. This was a really balanced offense in terms of, in this match they struggled. I remember them struggling with passing quite a bit in the beginning of the match, which made sense. And I felt like the setter, Alicia Glass-Childress, was having just like trouble connecting generally from the pretty inconsistent passing. Overall, the team passed a 36% positive, a 23% perfect, which is really doesn't seem very good based on what we've seen. She spread it out quite a bit. So Molly's a middle. Hannah Maddox on the outside had 18 kills. She hit 300. And Skasia Hippie, who's German, has been playing pro for quite a while. She had 11 kills. So she got in the mix too. She only hit 100. But this was like, she was playing right side. So having that mix of, consistently people across the net are able to get kills, I think that's got to be why they won, because nothing about the stats makes sense to me.
No,
like
it
on this.
Yeah, they weren't serving well, but neither was Omaha. They weren't passing well. Neither was Omaha.
But actually, Omaha's numbers are better in the yes, neither were
correct.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Vegas missed 16 serves. Omaha missed 9. I said Vegas's positive percentage was 36. Vegas was 54.
And Vegas had less digs.
Yeah.
It is.
They had more blocks. So the stats only go so far because to me, looking at that on paper, I'd be like, there's no way Vegas won.
But you know what? When you talk about a lot of blocks, think about how much a block turns around the energy of a game.
Totally.
Like
absolutely.
A stuff block. There is no better feeling than really long rally and you just end it with a stuff block. It sounds like it could have gone either way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
One other mention in terms of first game with the new coach, also the first game that Paige Briggs started for the Supernovas. She's played.
Oh, yeah.
She had a double-double.
The other games, she had a double-double, 14 kills, 19 digs. So that seems to be the big change.
But yeah, that makes, I think Brooke was still kind of nursing, figuring out her injury. And so Paige Briggs came in on the outside, had 14 kills, hit 230, really a good, and 19 digs, played great back row as well. So like coming off the bench and playing the 6 rotations that we know in this league, they're expected to play with fewer subs. That's kind of what you're looking for, someone who can play all the way around. Really a great weapon to come off the bench. Paige Briggs.
And they still only hit like 188, 190 around. And I think the Thrill hit about like 220-ish.
Yeah, it's close.
Just
right?
a little bit better.
Just a little more efficient. Well, the last then note from me is the De La Cruz corner. She set the league record for aces in a game with 6.
Ooh.
She had 4 in the season coming into that game. And spoilers, she had 6 in their next game too. So 12 aces over 2 games is pretty nice.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about last weekend, we were all very confused by the serving stats. And a very fun thing happened where the Pro Volleyball Federation completely updated their website and they have full explanations on what all this stuff means. I'm not saying that we caused that to happen, but
no.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, PVF.
Yeah, they changed the word from spiking to attack. Actually, in the actual box score, but actually in the stats explanation, it is still spike. Yeah. But the question on everyone's mind: what is serving efficiency? And I have never seen this before in my life, but
they're telling us at least.
Yeah, they're telling us. So serve efficiency is total good serves, which is defined as aces plus the other team overpassing plus bad passes.
Passes. Okay.
Bad passes minus service errors divided by total serve attempts. Case closed. Someone messaged us on Instagram, said, hey, by the way, this is all on their website. And we were like, oh,
yeah, it is now.
Not Google it.
It is now. This is the key here. It's a new edition.
Today, as of this recording, marks 1 week since they put that stat page up.
Yeah.
To cover their asses. Because we couldn't figure out the efficiency statistics.
Shall we move on to the Atlanta Vibe versus the Grand Rapids Rise? Vibe's first loss. They can no longer put undefeated on their website.
On their site.
They're going to have to do a lot of rebranding now. But it was in Atlanta too, right?
It was.
Well, my set-by-set scores for you. The Rise won the first set 25-20. Atlanta took the second 25-21. And then the Rise won the last 2 sets 25-22 each to close it out.
It looked good. Like I thought, is this going to be the final? Like it just looked very solid. And what's funny is that everyone won once this week. So like any of it could be the final. Any of it could be like where we end up. I feel like these 5 teams are showing us a really high level. They're taking sets from each other. It's been a cool thing to watch that I felt while we were watching that game. Like this is just really high level volleyball. So I saw that we had a new outside on the Vibe who came in while Allie Linehan's injured, right? Lekator Membermena. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Played this week, both matches.
Yep.
In this game, hit 240 with 13 kills, 13 digs in the back row. She was so powerful. She jumps like crazy. I think she's 5'7". Really cool. Again, a second instance where someone comes off the bench from an injury and they are just as hot, you know, like ready to go, playing at that high level.
Yeah, everyone's like ready to go. Ready to go.
Leah Edmond still, of course, had a day. 18 kills.
They really kind of stopped her the first 2 sets. I think, I mean, after her performance last week, Player of the Week, she was unstoppable. I felt like you could tell they came into this game saying, we got to stop Leah.
Yep.
And they did for the first 2 sets, but then she's
still going to get her numbers, it seems like, eventually.
Well, and I think she might have been Ashley Evans, setter playing a 5-1. She's blocking for Leah Edmond for a couple, and Emilia Dimitrova, right side, blocking Leah for a couple. They each had 2 blocks with some block assists also. I loved Simone Abbott on Grand Rapids. Outside in this game, hit 330, 16 kills. I thought she played great. She had kills in clutch moments in this match. Big fan.
She's got a good serve too.
It's not a huge sample size, but the stats are starting to line up a little bit. Like hitting 240 seems pretty decent attacking wise in the league right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can move on to Saturday.
Yeah, so this was Vegas Thrill's second match at Orlando Valks. Orlando took it 3-1.
Yeah, the set by set. Orlando won the first 2, first 25-23. Then the second set, I think, might be the largest difference in a set we've had in the league so far this season. If I remember correctly, it was 25-10 for Orlando. They lost the third 25-23, and then they won the fourth 25-21 to finish it off.
Vegas to come back after taking a beating like that, for Vegas to be like, we'll take the next one. I respect it. That's a fight, you know? That's not rolling over. You just got smacked around a little bit, and to come out of the locker room and take the third, pretty sweet. Saturday, I loved Kaz Brown on Orlando. Middle hitter.
Yes.
5 blocks, hit 240, 10 kills. She was all over it.
She was also maybe one of my contenders for Player of the Week. I think I'm just gonna keep going for middles until they finally get it, because I just feel like most of the time it's like a libero or an outside hitter gets Player of the Week. But come on,
I'm all for
in there.
The middle support. She
I
was
don't
so
know.
fun to watch too. Kaz celebrates.
Yes,
she celebrates like it's her job, but her job is actually blocking and killing, which she does first. It was just so good.
I mean, maybe Vegas after that first game thought that the league was just gonna be easier for them, but they came out and they hit 130. On Saturday, which was kind of stinky.
Yeah, they subbed a middle in right lane. Van Buskirk was playing the first 2, and then Berkeley Oblad went in the second 2. Did a little better, but overall, I don't know exactly what happened in that game.
I know. I'm trying to.
16 missed serves, but 15 missed serves from Orlando. The serves are being missed.
They really are.
Missing 30 serves in a 4-set match.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
It seems like they were just watching that game over.
Yeah.
It just seems like they weren't really having any problems receiving the ball from Vegas. Vegas was having a lot.
And so you're trying to be more and more aggressive on your serve because the passing is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, relatively speaking. I think that these teams aren't practicing in these gyms, from what I can tell. I think they do like a serve and pass the morning of in the arena.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this is not even when it's your home arena.
Is this a sightlines theory?
It's a space thing.
The sightlines.
Yeah, I mean,
it's definitely
really
a space thing.
I like it
to serve in that situation, especially this is some of the first games that they've played here. Yeah, so one of our friends messaged us, so we started throwing around hypotheses. And another thing is the ball, but I'm sure they practice with that ball, but it is a new ball that kind of lose your touch a little bit.
The ball is so funny to like ask them to use a different one because
I know it is. Really
it's not, it's like the same weight and the same size, but the feel of it does matter. And when you've been playing with a different one for 15 years, like,
yeah. I know, and I'm curious.
It's gonna take you a second.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll use a different one in the Olympics because this is just a theme. We're seeing a lot of missed serves, and it's really frustrating to watch because you're told a lot is the one part of the game that you can control. Because you have that control, you want to serve it as hard as you can so that you can end the point as soon as you can. And I think we're just seeing a lot of aggressive serves.
Totally. Service run wise, the only player I've really seen like command that and hang out back there for a long time has been Bethania.
Yep. Yeah. She's got
12 aces this week. Is nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. I do want to talk a little bit about the Vegas thrill setter, Alicia Glass, Childress.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Alicia Glass is a personal hero of mine. She's a complete legend. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows how great she is and the role that she played in all of these NCAA records. So I just thought we'd do a quick little deep dive of her. So she was the 5-1 setter on the 2007, 2008, 2009 Penn State women's volleyball team. That team is notorious. Had a lot of really incredible players who went on to have illustrious professional and Olympic careers. But that was her sophomore, junior, senior year. Her junior and senior year, those teams were undefeated completely. So her sophomore year, 2007, they were undefeated, 20-0 in the Big Ten and 34-2 overall. They won the national championship that year. 2008 may have been the best college volleyball team in NCAA history. They won every single set of the regular season.
What?
They swept everyone 3-0 forever. They would make jokes with each other about how fast they could wipe these teams. They won 111 straight sets until they dropped 2 to Nebraska in the semis of the national tournament. And that was in Omaha, in front of 17,000 fans, 2008. So Omaha's been ready for this for a decade and a half. They still won the match. And Nebraska's loss, that semi's loss, was their first loss in the state of Nebraska in 96 matches. So Nebraska was a powerhouse at that time, winning every single home match. So in 2009, Alicia Glass, that's her senior year, another undefeated regular season, but they dropped 5 sets during the season. So they let it slip a little bit. They played Texas in the final and they went down 0-2, something that had not happened in 3 seasons. They had never been down 0-2. They clawed back to win 3-2, the national championship. A record 3rd consecutive championship. And that was, with that national championship, it was a win streak of 102 matches as another perfect season. This was just, that team finished 114-8 in set play with a 2-year record of 76-0. It was just so incredible. And as a high schooler at that time, I loved the shit out of Alicia Glass. Just like the coolest setter, super in control, super good. She went on to win a bronze medal, I believe, with the 2016 Olympic team. But yeah, I just want everyone to know she's a legend.
She's my hero now too.
The Nittany Lions.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Coached by Russ Rose. Anyway,
one other thing I wanted to mention before we move on to the next one, just because this was a game that the Valkyries won. Just from my eye, I want to see if it works out. They feel like they're the reception team. They're really good at playing in system. I think even the game they lost this week, their positive reception percentage is in the 40s, I think, both games. This game that they won against Thrill, I think their perfect percentage was like 33%, which seems pretty dope.
The outsides on the Valks, Jill Gillen and Adora Ane, they're passing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, as a server, you want to stay away from the libero. You don't want to serve to the libero, and you want to serve to the outsides or, whoever's back there who's not got the different jersey on, because the different jersey says, "Hi, I'm the best one at this. Yeah. You want to give it to me?
I'll dig it out."
But Jill and Adora are handling it. In this match, they both had positive reception percentages over 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think you're right. I think that's like what I'm seeing is that people who, maybe servers are supposed to go after, they're passing great.
That's their team strategies. They've got half the team out there can receive the ball pretty well.
Yeah. And that's like the majority of who's back there during any given rotation. Because even if you're front row, as an outside, you push back and pass.
All right, yeah. We had a Monday doubleheader, which wasn't really a doubleheader. It was a simultaneous header, right? Like,
it was a doubleheader for us if we watched both of them.
Yeah, because you can just watch them whenever you want. This game, Orlando Valkyries in Atlanta to play the Vibe, is the first rematch of the PVF season. The first game, Atlanta won in 5 sets. This game, Atlanta won in 5 sets again.
Wow.
The Vibe won the first set 25-21. Then lost 19-25, then won 25-21 again, then lost 25-22.
A rivalry form.
Yeah. And then they won 17-15 in the 5th set. So it was a tight 5th set.
Orlando had match point, I think, twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was really close.
I love a tight 5th set, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this brings me to credit to the Atlanta Vibe website for this neato stat. The Atlanta Vibes so far this season are 6-0 in sets decided by 2 points.
Oh.
In close ones.
Yeah, every set that they've played in that was won by 2 points, they have won.
Ooh, I like that stat.
Leah Edmond, watching her in the huddles during those last couple points in the 5th, she's just so intense. At one point too, she had a kill going down the line and she looked back at the bench and like pointed, and she obviously was giving credit. Like someone was like, "Go line." And so she was like, "Yeah, that's it. I did it."
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And the announcer was like, "Leah Edmond wants the bench to get louder." And I was like, "No, she doesn't." What do you think is going on here? No, she's giving credit. She wasn't like, "Get loud for me." Like it was just such a funny, but she like feeds off of that energy with her own teammates in the huddle. She's like, people are like going up, getting each other's faces. It was very fun.
Nikki, you talked about Member Benea the last Vibe game. She had another 20 kills and 10 digs, and she hit 326 in this game. Pretty nasty.
That's Player of the Week vibes, but I don't think you can give it to Atlanta 3 times in a row.
You never know. I guess that's something that we didn't look up. I assume it's coaches' vote on it. So it's up to the coaches.
I also like a Draymond Green-esque stat sheet filler, a Swiss Army knife player, if you will. I do a little bit of everything. So I wanted to shout out Reagan Pittman, 7 kills, 6 blocks, threw an ace in there.
Yeah, Reagan's playing playing middle because so I'm pretty sure that Reagan played at Minnesota, then was like, "All right, I'm done for 2 years." Came out of retirement to play this. I'm pretty sure I heard the announcers talking about that. So Reagan's in because Karis Watson is out. In the last set of the prior game, she like got hit in the face by a blocked like ricochet, kind of. Not her block. I think one of the outsides was blocking and it hit her. Anyway, so she's, I don't know about injured, but probably just a little. She came out after that happened. She's probably just a little out of it. And so they gave Reagan Pittman the start. Doing great. And then in this one, Tori Stringer didn't set. Marley Monserrat. She's great.
Tori didn't play at all?
No, I don't think so.
Not in that one. I that was what I wonder too, is like how much of that Tori Stringer had 47 assists 2 days before. How much of it is just like, we're not going to make you play 2 of those games. Yeah.
I think they're both very good.
Yeah. And if you have two matches this close to each other,
why not rotate?
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, and so Marley played beach at UCLA as well as indoor at Florida. Yeah, I think that they're both very good. Marley's 6 feet, Tori's 5'10", 5'11". So that's not really like a major. I would think, if Marley needs to block, but Tori does fine blocking also. So maybe it's just mix it up, get her some time in a competitive match.
Well, on the Valkyrie side, Adora Ane also hit a shitload again.
26 kills.
Yeah, 26 kills. But I think, I don't know if we talked about Jill Gillen in the last breakdown, but she's been not hitting as much as Adora Ane, but hitting really well. Around 330 for the game against the Vibe. So
this was a pretty good offense too. And in this one, they took Wilma Rivera out, a setter, in exchange for
I saw that.
Carly Graham.
I don't know if that was, an injury thing.
Wilma Rivera is also 5'8".
Talking about that. Yeah, I didn't hear them talking about that on the telecast. Not that they would necessarily know if she was just feeling something weird, but it seemed like they just kind of made the choice and stuck with Carly Graham for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and Wilma's amazing. So. I'm a big Wilma fan, Puerto Rican player, went to Penn State first and then played over at Louisville afterwards. But she is 5'8". I think like if they were worried about Atlanta's outsides, switching in Carly to block, like I was trying to think if that was the reason for the switch on the Atlanta side. I don't really think it was, but it could have been a particular choice on the Orlando side. Wanted to mention in this Valks at Atlanta match, we may have had the first yellow card in Pro Volleyball Federation history.
Nice. What was it for?
The first yellow card in Pro Volleyball Federation history.
That is correct. The Orlando coach, Amy Pauley, it was toward the end of the fifth set, so tensions were high. And there was a moment where Atlanta outside hit, Orlando right side blocked. They said, Atlanta's in the net. And I think she didn't know that the point went her way because she went up to the up ref and was like, but she was in the net. And she kind of got like a little feisty. And then as soon as she saw that it was their point, she just kind of backed away. And then the up ref gave her a yellow card.
Oh my gosh.
But they got the point. But I think something must have been communicated that like initially the ref's arm went a different way. But she got the point. So obviously she just walked away. She was like, yeah, that's fine. Give me the yellow card. That's fine.
So in the play-by-play, you can see this. They have it. I just loved her walking away. Like, we got the point. I don't need to keep. I don't need to keep arguing.
So I guess I had one question if we want to do a slight Ian inquiry here. When we were talking about Carly Graham, whatever the reason was for the Valkyries to make that switch, what are reasons you may make that switch in game? Is there like enough of a difference in terms of sets of skills for setters that you could be like, she's just not going to have it against this team tonight and we should put our other setter in? Or is it more of riding a hot hand type of thing or just a rotation type of thing? We talked about the Vibe making some switches that they might just be making because they've got players on the roster that they want to get, their feet wet in the season.
I think that it in some ways could be a skill, like a strength thing. Like I said, there could be a blocking piece of it. There could be someone serving better. There could be someone's playing defense better. But from an offensive strategy standpoint, it could also have to do with like someone's connecting better with a middle or the pass is really bad. And one of the setters is better at handling a set that is a pass from 20 feet off the net.
So if through two sets, if your team's just receiving receiving the ball poorly, you could go to your setter that's got a little bit more range.
Yeah. And the thing is that at this level, I feel like they've all got great range.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there could be a connection between a setter and a player that's hot that maybe you want to lean on that a little bit more. There could be I think about it a lot with the setter middle connection. But it is a bit of an odd choice to switch. It's about it. It happens probably about as often as you'd switch a quarterback.
Yeah. Sure. I would guess back row defense even more than front row blocking. But I haven't really seen any setters really struggling with back row defense, but
no,
maybe I'm not looking out for.
And certainly not Wilma. Wilma is the best server.
Yeah.
Wilma was voted best server of the entire national tournament that she most recently played in. Like, it can't be that. I think her defense is great. It could have been blocking, but I think from the offensive strategy perspective, there could be a couple things there, but it is a little bit more odd. Only thing is, if you have two good setters and you want them both to be on the team, and one of them just played 4 or 5 sets 2 days ago, maybe you are like, this is an opportunity to give the other one some time and make her want to be here. You've got two
it looks
solid...
like Wilma was still spelling in those other sets. Like she was still subbing in sometimes in those other sets. So it wasn't like they completely went away from her or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that could have been because her defense is great and her serving is really good. So they put her in for that one. And then maybe when she gets to the front row, Carly goes in for a bit. I think I saw that a time or two. Hard to say.
Sure. I mean, she did not, like just statistically wise, it looks like she was serving and that was about it. She served 12 times and she didn't attack and she didn't receive. She dug 2 balls out. So interesting.
Last match?
Last one. So this last match of the Monday doubleheader that was at the same time was Omaha in their first road game at the Grand Rapids Rise. They won it. They lost the first set though, so they gave the first set to Grand Rapids 25-21, and then they swept the next 3, which seems nice, but they were actually really close, long sets. The second set, Omaha won 33-31. I think that's probably the longest set we've seen so far this season. The third set, they won 30-28. And then the fourth set, they won 25-21 to finish the game off. So
those 2 middle sets, the sets 2 and 3, were some of the most fun volleyball I've ever watched. Like it was awesome.
That's cool. So
yeah,
close.
And I think that during the telecast, they said the Supernovas had they survived 10 set points while only losing 1 set to the Rise. So there was a lot going on.
I missed this one. It sounds like it was thrilling.
Yeah,
I shouldn't use that word.
Worth going back to watch.
Yeah,
it was a game of pin hitters versus pin hitters.
Oh, and like Brooke came back.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. She's back.
Nunaviller played instead of Paige.
Yeah. If we just look at the total attempts of Claire Chaussee and Simone Abbott, the 2 outsides, and then Amelia Dimitrova, the right side for the Grand Rapids Rise.
Wow.
Like Claire Chaussee had 61 attempts, Amelia had 49, and Simone had 38. Yeah.
All of the people who played middle, I think there were 3 players who played middle throughout this game. The 3 of them, all of their attempts don't even amount to one of the pin hitters' attempts. And so it is a pin hitter game.
Yes. And it was a very similar situation on the other side with Supernovas. Danielle Hart had 14 attempts as a middle. So she had a little bit more. But then she was hitting negative. So it's like, oh, I can see why you started going to your outsides.
So were the middles not playing well on these teams, or was the pass not allowing them to be successful?
The passing was actually very good. And if we look at the percentages, I mean, even the Supernovas, especially, Kendall White was playing out of her mind. Also, she was playing so well.
They were pretty even down the board, blocks wise, hitting percentage wise. They were right around 200 hitting percentages teams. Yeah. And it was just aces that really made the difference. I think it was the Supernovas had around 10.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like those, specifically watching how long some of those rallies were, to get 10 that you just get to walk away with the point immediately seems nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess speaking to the perfect pass percentage, they actually do define a perfect as a 4.
Yeah.
So so there is a difference between a 3 and a 4. Whereas when I was explaining this last week, I only said you can rank passes as 1, 2, 3, or 0. They actually throw a 4 in there, which that is a perfect pass where the setter does not move. And a 3, a setter can set all front row players. So a perfect pass percentage is only 4s.
Okay.
And which means that those lower numbers make
positive
sense.
Is a 2 and a 3. So that would make sense. You're not only setting your middles with a perfect pass, you're setting them with
also
3.
with outside of that, with a positive.
Well.
It does seem like it was the outsides game here.
Yes, absolutely. And they were hitting really well. Like Claire and Simone were so much fun to watch. So were Brooke and Bethania. Yeah. And the right side, Jess on Omaha, also did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Fun
17 kills.
Yeah.
260.
Yeah, and coming into this week, I mentioned earlier, Thania De La Cruz had 4 aces. She had 12 in her 2 games this week. So starting to figure out that ball that we were talking about earlier.
She's got it.
Starting to figure out the flight.
She's got it figured out. Well, player of the week. Who y'all got?
What do you think?
As everyone knows, we were correct last week. when we said Leah Edmond. Congrats to Leah Edmond. But yeah, week 3 predictions. I mean,
I would want a Valkyries player. They didn't win. They didn't go 2-0 or anything, but they looked really good.
Who'd you like? Kaz Brown?
I think Adora.
Kaz Brown.
Kaz Brown was really good too.
Who did I say at the beginning of this?
There's so much good volleyball being played.
There's so much. And everybody won. So it's not like there's one team.
Yeah.
There's not like there's one team that like, they were 2-0, so someone there is going to get it.
I wish they have a place on the website for match MVPs, but they don't update it. I think they do announce it in the post game, but they don't update it on the website. I would want to see it because, like we said, Molly McCage was really, really awesome in that first game against the Supernovas last Wednesday. Not as awesome in their second game. So that's like game MVP, maybe not player of the week type situation. That's a future player of the week right there, though.
Yeah, totally.
Molly McCage.
Kaz Brown, but then also
Ian said Adora. That feels.
Adora, I'm putting my flag on Adora for this week. De La Cruz setting the record with 6 aces and then matching that record with 6 aces again is pretty cool. Nice.
So well, we got a lot of good options.
Yep, we'll see.
Now, we're going to do question from a listener. If you have a question and you're a listener, email us at courtcaptainspod@gmail.com. This one says, why do the 3 frontline players line up behind each other rather than side by side before the serve?
If I'm not mistaken, I would think there's 2 groups of frontline players. So are we talking about serving frontline or the receiving frontline?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
the question is unclear.
Just teach me both.
All right, let's do it. So if we're talking receiving team, this doesn't happen a lot. There's overlap usually at least between 2 players. And that's really just going to be, where can we line up so that the hitter has the shortest distance to where they need to go? The other part about it is that like you do need to stand in a certain order. It's the service order. And then as soon as the ball is served, everyone can run wherever they feel like. It's not where they feel like there's a place to go. But if you're the receiving team and the serving team, you need to start in your service order and then you can move after that. So there is like a lineup that's like kind of looks like you're behind, but you're actually pretty close.
Yeah. We kind of learn to line it up as closely as possible where it's still legal. And sometimes refs still kind of yell at you about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like from the receiving side. But there's kind of this that happens on the serving side too.
Yeah. Okay. So on the serving side, like rotation, basically when the setter is serving or the right side is serving, you have this situation where basically the right side and the left side have to switch sides of the court on the serving side. And again, they want to travel as the least distance as possible. So they're going to line up as close as they can to each other without being illegal. And another thing to take into account with this is there's a screening rule. So you cannot be all lined up side by side, shoulder to shoulder, because that is blocking the receiving team from being able to see your server.
Sure.
And that's called screening. So there's like a couple things. I think there's the aspect of, I want to be as close. I just want to make this, I want to get into position as quick as possible. And there's also, you don't want to be in the way of the server. Yeah.
But no matter what, the bottom line is you have to start in your service order. And if you're on one side of the court and you got to get over to the other side, there are different lineups that make that easier to move as soon as the ball is served.
If we were talking about, like, just example, the pin hitters that we were talking about earlier, how specific are they in terms of which side they like to hit from?
So something I've seen actually,
that's a specific question, but
is that like Adora Ane on the outside, sometimes Leah Edmond on the outside. There's a rotation where they're about to serve. So they're in receive. They're starting on the right side of the court, even though they are outsides. But for that serve receive, they're going to hit right side for one before they move over to the other side. And like, I've seen them both be extremely efficient from that one side. I don't know what that's about, if they played right side in the past or if like they're getting a different look. But there are moments when you don't even want to run over to the side, or you don't have time to, and you get to do a different thing. And I think a lot of these pin hitters are capable of.
I would say realistically, you train both. You train.
Yeah.
I would think it would be valuable, to at least be able to cover that other side.
Yeah.
Cool.
Totally. All right. Well, thanks to our listener for the question.
Nice questions.
Yes.
We've got a big week ahead. Once again, this is the first week where all 7 teams will play at least once.
And we've got an actual doubleheader.
And we have an actual doubleheader. So no weeks off anymore. Well, I mean, maybe there will be in the future, but not this week. So Thursday, February 15th, Omaha Supernovas at Vegas Thrill. Friday, February 16th, Columbus Fury at Orlando Valks. And then Sunday, February 18th is the doubleheader, Atlanta Vibe at Grand Rapids Rise. 2 hours later, Valks at Omaha Supernovas. And then Monday, February 19th, San Diego Mojo at Vegas Thrill. Okay, well, thanks so much for listening to Court Captains, a volleyball podcast. Please give us some stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you like what you're hearing. Support small podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Court Captains Pod. Email us.
Like always, don't forget to be the captain of your own court.
I've really been living that.
Always nailing it.
Have a great week.
That mantra.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys soon.
Have a good week.
Bye.